Good morning, Eli's dad here. I'm up early because I got a text late last night that I'm going to get a phone call from the governor. Here it is. Hello, Governor Cuomo. How are you this morning? Yeah, I'm up early just for you. Just for you. Yeah, I got your message that you wanted me to review your press conferences, how I think they're going, and I'm happy to do that for you. All right. First of all, I'm going to have to give you an A+ now. You know, I've been reviewing, the Donald's coronavirus briefings, and it's kind of a how-to not to do something, but yours was perfect, terrific, outstanding, and I want to go over in detail with you and for some of my listeners exactly why that is so and why it all makes so much sense. Okay, first of all, I know you went to visit the president yesterday. You're kind of the Andy of Mayberry in this thing, right? And unfortunately, when you go to the Oval Office, you're visiting with Barney Fife. How did that go? Productive. Yeah, I got the word I kind of expected you to say. You're very diplomatic. All right, let's go over what your press conference is, and I'm going to leave a link to it so that you can so that people can actually see what it was you said and get the points that I'm making here. All right, first of all, you always start off with how you think. You lead by example, and that makes you more human, and when people are listening to what you have to say, it just resonates a lot better. And the other thing that you do that's so outstanding is there's a visual of you, and then right next to you is the chart, and I'm sure you have the little clicker in your hand so that you can click so that people are hearing and seeing at the same time. And that's so much more effective. Not only that, but your charts are so simple. The charts that you see in the coronavirus briefings they're small, they're I consider myself to be, a somewhat intelligent person, at least average. And when I look at your charts, I don't need to be Einstein to understand what it is you're saying. When I watch theirs, the detail is so ridiculous, and it doesn't make sense to the average person. You got to sit there and look at it and stare at it. Yours is just plainly obvious. That's a huge thing. And of course, you give the validity of numbers when you make your statements. All right, so let's go over what you said actually. All right, the purpose of the chart was you wanted to look and see when does New York reach its peak, and is it declining, and because we want to have a confidence that we're going down, and you pointed out that projections are nice, but you wouldn't bet the farm on it. And that was a really smart thing to do, because then people don't take their foot off the gas pedal. What you're trying to preach here is, hey, it looks like we're making progress, the numbers look like they're getting better, but let's not get cocky about this, because we're not there yet, we're not nearly there yet. Then you went over a little bit about the bad news, and that even though the numbers of lives that we lost were significant, that it's still a ridiculously horrific number of lives to lose, and your charts just confirmed what you were saying. Then you pointed out how everyone is anxious to reopen. That's not the question. Everybody wants to do that. The question is, how do we do it? When do we do it? So everybody agrees we don't need protests. Message received. Hey, New Yorkers, I don't want to see you outside outside the State House protesting. I know what you want. I agree with you. That's what we want also. So to be concise, what's the question that I'm looking to answer here? It's how, when, how fast, and what does reopening mean specifically? And then you did a really great thing. One of the things that great leaders do, Andrew, is they always share the vision and sell the dream. And so what you did is you put up the word, you're setting the bar for a reimagine. You're sharing the vision. Let's learn the lessons from this negative, and it's a great negative, and somehow, some way, make it a positive in the long run. let's reimagine what we want society to be. Let's not focus on reopen, all right, everything exactly the same. It's not going to be like that. We went through hell, but there are some better outcomes to come. And then you pointed out, you gave some good examples. That's always a good thing to do. And you did it. You know, 9/11, what could be worse than 9/11? But, you know, it's just awful. But what happened was the area downtown that got destroyed is built up now, and it's looking better. It's looking better than it was. Same thing with Superstorm Sandy on Long Island. Yeah, houses were destroyed, but the area is built up better. So how can we use this situation? And you pointed out, first, stop saying reopen and start saying reimagine to build back better. And then you gave some really good specific examples. That's what's so good, is you make general and then you follow up with specificity. Public transportation, housing, public safety, health system, social equality. How can we make these things better? And then you gave some specific examples when you went to technology. For instance, people are working from home now more. And you know what? They're going to say to themselves, you know what, I can work from home now forever. So there's a positive from that. And then also telemedicine, where people are now, instead of going to the doctor's office, they're doing it right online. Why did everybody always go to the doctor's office, for example? All right? When you didn't necessarily need to do that. And then, of course, education as well. So why haven't we done these things before? Very simple answer. And once again, personal development. That's what this channel is all about. Because change is hard, and people are slow to make a move. Why? Because they're in their comfort zones. Well, you made the great point. You know what? We're not in our comfort zone right now. Now is the time. We're going to have, in fact, a reimagined task force. This situation allows us to change where we couldn't before, because people don't like to do what they're uncomfortable doing. Now everything is uncomfortable, so let's make some positive changes. Fantastic. When you see an opportunity, you got to go for it. Opportunities don't come labeled. So when there's an opportunity, you got to go out and go for it. Not just true here, true in all facets of life. Now, in addition to that, you pointed out that we also have to anticipate and not be reactive only. And then you gave a specific example. Warm weather equals cabin fever. Okay, we're coming on spring, we're coming on summer. You know, people are going to want to get out of their house, and you can't stop them. They're going to go out of their house, and it's healthy to be out of the house. You know that activity level is going to increase, and we've got to monitor. We've got to keep track of the data of the increase in the spread of the infection rate, because when you have more people out, it's a given there's going to be more infections passed along. So, and the point is, it's all about contact. It's contact with surfaces. Somebody touches something, then you touch something, and it's contact with people. You get in contact, and somebody gets their juices on you, and then boom. All right. So I mean, these are things keeping people on the alert. That's the key thing. So where are we going to see this? How do we measure this? Well, two major things. First of all, the hospitalization rate and the testing rate. So here are the conclusions. When you get, and you had a really nice chart, and you explained this very well. When you get the rate of infection below 1, in other words, typically one person infects one person, theoretically the virus is slowing. And you pointed out that right now, right this minute, we're at 0.9, a little bit less than 1. Now and you also said, hey, that's razor thin. All right, it's a step in the right direction, number one, and you can't even trust the numbers on this, because who knows that every single number is accurate, especially in a situation like this, especially when we don't have all the testing that we need to have. So there's zero cause for comfort, but right now we're at 0.9. Statistically, that's irrelevant. Numbers are not an exact science, but they are indicators. And that's got to be our focus until we have a vaccine. The lower we can get that number, 0.9, 0.8, 0.1, whatever, then we know we're making some serious progress. Now, you realize also, once again, we're anticipating that individual municipalities are going to have more, some of them are going to have more positive numbers. But in this case, the decision at the state level has got to be sovereign. And I've given you, and you said I've given you the why, and because it has to be that way. In order for an organization to succeed in any endeavor, there's got to be a unity and a uniformity of action if we're to continue improving our position. It's okay for the leaders to question the decision, but that's done in private. There's got to be one voice, one direction. It's got to be clear and concise. Coordination and discipline are now the key. That's true in the state of New York. That's true in any business endeavor that you pursue. Not only that, but you point out, hey, we're working with neighboring states because the temptation of not being uniform is going to create some major danger. And you gave some pretty good examples, like if they open up the beaches, let's say in Connecticut, people from New York, guess what they're going to do? They're going to run to the beach in Connecticut. Or if there's a concert in New Jersey, people like to do things like that, and it's just understanding, it's anticipation. Everybody is affected, however, if we don't act as one particular unit. So if there's a different message from the state or from neighboring states or the towns, that message creates confusion. Uniformity is essential and smart. Once again, clear, concise, definite direction. And I also like the way you're very, very subtle, okay? And I'm going to bring up another subtle point that you made in a moment. You're very, very subtle. What are you telling Mr. Trump? Hey, you can't say one thing one day and then do something that is completely opposite the other. There's got to be clear, concise, definite direction. Hello, Donald, are you listening? Are you listening? And you're saying that without being obnoxious about it, without naming him by name, and without pointing a finger. Hello, McFly, are you getting the message? All right. Now, then you started talking about testing and funding. And your major point was the key thing about getting the testing done and the funding that's needed to produce it is we need a clearly defined division of labor. The states can't do everything by themselves. They don't have the funding. The states can't do everything by themselves. They don't have all the equipment. They don't have the, whatever that thing is they do at the end. I forget what it is, but you know, you have the machines, but you're missing some of the key components. And you pointed out how you know, there's different machines, they require different components, and then there's a struggle of trying to get them in the competition with other states, with the federal government. We need to have the federal government get all of the supplies that are necessary. When you have an army, you don't provide them with rifles and then have each state say, hey, you need bullets? Hey, you're going to have to provide your own bullets for this gun. Not only that, but you have bullets, different kinds of bullets, you know, for this rifle or this bazooka or whatever. The same organization has to provide the equipment, has to be responsible for getting that equipment. And then the local entity, the states, have to be the ones that perform the actual function. And you gave a great example. It's a difference like when you're painting in a house, using the roller for the, you know, the big action, what everybody does, and then you're going to need somebody to go in and paint the fine brush strokes. Very good analogy, outstanding. And then you made another good point, and this is what I was getting to earlier. You said the federal government said that they would help you with the funding. They said that to all the governors. We're going to help you with the funding. They said, don't worry. Well, then you said, you know what? I've heard that over and over and over and over, and I'm worried. What did you do? You said, hello, Washington, this is what you said. You haven't come through. You weren't nasty about it. You didn't point fingers. You didn't mention people by name. You didn't call anybody Sleepy Joe, or Hillary did this, or John Kerry did that. You didn't mention names, but you got your point. And then you said, hey, I don't have an agenda. I'm not here for political purposes. I have one job, and that's to fight for New Yorkers. And you made your identity very, very clear. Andrew, I can't tell you how much, from a structural point of view and from a content point of view, I enjoyed watching your briefing. You didn't come from a position of arrogance. You were a human being. When somebody had a question and you didn't know the answer, and you know what you said? I don't know. That's okay to say that. Not only that, but when somebody had a question and you knew one of your people that was sitting next to you could answer it, Fred, Ethel, that's you. It was very, very well done. So you get an A+ for your briefing. And it was such a blueprint for how to conduct a meeting like that I really wanted to go over it. So I want to thank you very much, and it's my pleasure to give you a tremendous 2 big thumbs up as a review. And please call me anytime you want my opinion. I appreciate it. Andrew, have a great and productive day. Bye-bye. And because we will never end a phone call on a philosophical note, let's all get out there and charge! I'm Eli's dad.